Супер чес, окей. Так, репорт делаем очередной.
Yes, these were the opening moves of Vladimir Kramnik, former world champion, playing black against an Indian player who goes by Super Chess. His name is P Iniyan. He's 22 years old, a grandmaster, and Kramnik so enraged by this game that he then does his final procedure. More on that later. And why the final? Well, Kramnik now has been banned from playing on chess.com for 3 months. I've done a whole video on that. I'll link it at the end, but let's first dive into this game of a so-called cheater with the white pieces. Let me know what you think. So knight c3 played here. This is titled Tuesday Chess. It's March 26th, early tournament. Online chess. Kramnik takes the center with d5. Bishop g5 played. Bishop e7. This is standard Queen's Gambit declined stuff. h6 puts the question. Bishop h4. Castle's now played. Knight f3 and b6 selected. The Tartakoa variation from Vladimir Kramnik. Now an unusual response here of Queen b3. Many moves there, as you can imagine. You know, taking here, stuff like that, more common. And I love how Kramnik now plays against this queen here. So knight e4 is a massive idea in these positions, and that's why white voluntarily gives up the bishop now. You didn't have to do this, but the knight was coming to the center, so black's picked up the bishop pair, but after white takes here, pawn recaptures, we're soon going to see another change in pawn structure. Rook d1 played. There's a weird looking move. Rooks belong on half open or open files, but we'll see the point, because after rook e8, bishop d3, Kramnik strikes with c5, the classic break, and now we see the point of lining the rook up with the queen. This d file's about to open. Now with c4 a huge threat, takes is very logical, opening the rook, and now I love this from Kramnik. Really nice play, because black looks busted. If you take this pawn, you drop an entire bishop, so knight d7 is the point revealed. If you carry on munching pawns, which wasn't played, then there's knight c5, hitting queen and bishop, queen goes, bishop drops with check, and now you recapture with the queen here on b6. So you're supporting bishop a6, coming onto the light squares. You know, if castles, you're losing in exchange, and you're hitting b2. Great dynamic play. So the second pawn not touched. c6 played, immediately giving back the pawn, gaining some time, and after castles, knight c5, queen retreating, we can see how the battleground has been drawn, or the battle lines have been drawn, right? Because white's going to try and blockade this isolated queen's pawn, maybe round it up one day. Black in compensation has got these bishops. Now Kramnik goes rook c8 here. Why didn't he take off this bishop? Well, yes, it's a nice piece, but then you start doubling the white rooks very fast. Huge pressure comes to bear on the center. So this was the right way to play. Bishop f5, Kramnik saves his rook. Knight d4 centralizing, classic idea. And after bishop a8 from Kramnik, slightly strange, not entirely clear why he didn't go to b7. Maybe he wanted to keep tabs with this pawn. We see rook d2, preparing to double, g6, bishop dropping back, and now Kramnik senses it's the moment to change the pawn structure. He gives up his dark squared bishop, but it is a nice idea. He now opens his rook here. The knight comes back to e6. There are attacking ideas with the queen and the knight on the dark squares. This is the compensation for giving back the bishops, but this one in the corner, dead as a dodo. So bishop b5 played, hits Kramnik's rook, and now this is screaming to be played. Swap those light squared ones. Obviously it's an awful piece right now, and okay, game goes on, it's fairly level really. But Kramnik goes rook f8, much more ambitious here. Queen d3 now played, queen g5, looking for knight f4 stuff over here. We get knight e2 covering that threat. Queen f6 anticipates f4, which comes knight g7. They're now battling for f5. Knight g3, rook e7 played, and after f5 we can start to see that where Kramnik got ambitious, he's the one now under the cosh. White pressing. We see g5 to keep the lines closed. Bishop a4, lovely manoeuvring. Look at where this one's spinning round to. h5 from Kramnik. Queen f3, h4, the knight kicked back. Bishop b7, trying to resuscitate this one, bring it back from the dead. Knight c3, and we can see the white play. Ganging up on the d-pawn, very instructive. Kramnik goes rook d8, bishop b3, and now this is so strange. Rook d7 played, bishop a4, rook e7, Kramnik invited to repeat, but watch what he does now. And just before we dive into it and crack on with the game, a massive shout out to Chestnut, who are kindly sponsoring this video. Check out the link in the description below and get on over there, because the boards they've got are out of this world. The Chestnut Pro is my absolute favourite. You can see it on screen here. Beautiful wooden board, weighted pieces, and with the online connectivity. You can get onto your Chess and your chess.com, therefore be playing over the board but in an online setting, you know, rapid chess. Plus there are tons of learning features and apps that connect, and if you use the code EPIC at checkout, you get a great discount applied on these boards. Check it out today. Absolutely fantastic board. I've fallen in love with it. Now back to this game here. So what does Kramnik do? He could repeat, right, keep covering his pawn, but he goes knight to e8. He's willing to sacrifice an entire pawn at the altar of playing for a win. Kramnik going insane here. Bishop a6 now played, hitting a rook sure, but it now defends this d pawn, and it's a massive one to have given up just to play for a win. We get queen d6 on the board. Queen h5, look at those light squares. Queen f6 back to cover the g pawn. Rook f2 now, coming onto that f file, and Kramnik makes this huge mistake here. He should go queen g7, but it's a very difficult move to find with just seconds on the clock. You've cleared f6, the knight can now head there. That's a big threat, of course, and it blockades pawns and everything like that. Really, really solid defensive piece. But Kramnik misses it, goes knight g7, the queen retreats, and now he's in a world of pain. He can't move the queen anywhere, or f6 comes. So he moves the knight back to cover f6 one more, then maybe move the queen, but now knight e4. This white knight here just galloping into the position, right, and you can't live with it. Kramnik gives an exchange. If you come here, defending the pawn, trying to hold on, well, f6 comes and white can really just start turning the screw. Huge problems down the e-file here. This is one sample line of how you invade. The king just gets cut to shreds here. Absolutely brutal. So coming back, Kramnik chucks his rook. Bishop recaptures, king g7, h3, and white just cementing the grip now. An exchange ahead and a pawn ahead, and with the safer king. Are you kidding me? These are grandmaster opponents, right? You can't just insult them and think you can give up all this material and still kick their ass. Kramnik convinced there's foul play going on here though. Like I said, let me know your thoughts down below. This is how the game now proceeds. The queen slides back, and it's nice slow improvement. Kramnik thrashing, looking to pick up a pawn. White offers the exchange of bishops. It does sack a pawn with check, but it's nice calculation or luck. Maybe it was missed and just lucked out, because you can't actually win this bishop here, or you drop your loose queen, right? Don't want to gambit the queen, so instead we see f6, cementing the pawn chain by Kramnik there. Now the bishops come off and the rook is supported by the queen from afar. Lovely triangulation, so queen takes here. These ones leaving the board, and now it's a matter of technique. Mop up jobs on these pawns, and then the a pawn starts running, and it's in this final position Kramnik had enough, and he does this.
Так, репорт делаем очередной в тайтлах. И, ну вот материал ждите, я вам все расскажу. И про вот моего предыдущего соперника. Посмотрю этого, ну, предыдущий там, выдающийся просто, выдающийся человек. Как и многие другие. В общем, я отключусь на данный момент, потому что доигрывать это...
Yes, he reports for cheating, rage quits title Tuesday, doesn't finish the final game, and then gets suspended by chess.com some days later, but not related to this particular game. Check out the video I did on that if you want all the details. Don't forget the link to the chestnut board below. Fantastic, lovely boards, and I hope to see you again on a future video. Thanks for watching. Cheers.